Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show. And now, here's Jeff Crilley.
So let me take you back in time. When I landed in Dallas in 1992 to take a job with Fox 4, the news director greeted me off the plane, and as we were driving to the station, he says, "Crilley, 2 things you need to know about Dallas: eating and shopping. Any questions?" I said, "No questions. I get it." And that was 30 years ago, and he's actually right. I mean, obviously there's many more things to do, but eating is always on the menu, is it not? My final guest of this hour is Gina Lynn. She's the CEO and founder of CityDining.com. Gina, you are a restaurant advocate, and you're a consultant who specializes in content creation and marketing for the industry. Talk about CityDining.com. What is CityDining?
Well, CityDining.com really is an opportunity for restaurateurs and chefs alike to tell their stories in order to engage with potential customers. My background in working with restaurants is that there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears when it comes to opening a restaurant. And when they say that, business is business, well, this business is really personal. And so in my career, as I would, sit in these restaurants that would be, being built out and listen to the dreams of these chefs and restaurateurs, I realized, gosh, as they market, it's a really unique and interesting proposition to be able to use storytelling and leverage the power of this digital and mobile and video revolution and bring those things together in order to help restaurants grow their business and engage new customers. And so really that's the purpose of City Dining. It was co-founded with Identity Media Services, and really the proposition was storytelling.
So when people come to the website, they can poke around and see videos of restaurants and some top name chefs?
They can. So we ultimately want people to be able to experience. So when you said you hopped off of a plane and here you are in Dallas, and where do you dine? What do you wear? What's the experience like? What drives that restaurateur to open their doors every day? What kind of not to miss dishes should you order once you're there? Those are the kinds of videos and stories that you can find on City Dining.
So what have you experienced in the last, say, 2 years here in Dallas? What's hot? What is trending right now?
So more than anything, I think the biggest trend, and I think something that will stay on point, it's really about the ingredients. So we saw a big farm-to-table movement, but ultimately at the end of the day, I think everybody's having a great time really focusing on ingredients, relationships between the chefs and the restaurateurs and their local farmers, the farmers market, and sourcing on a local level. So I'm really seeing that to be a trend that's on point. These relationships are becoming much more important now, not only between the farmers and the chefs, but ultimately to the consumer as well.
And I think with the Food Network and so many other television programs, the local chef is now becoming a celebrity, are they not?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's about time. These guys and gals are behind the line, sweating it out every single night. And, it's an art. It's a talent, it's a passion. And so ultimately it's nice to see them step out from behind the line and really get recognized and allow them, there's multiple platforms to tell their stories, from locally D Magazine to Eater.com, Culture Map. All of these wonderful and talented food editors and bloggers and people that really have their finger on the pulse. I love to represent those restaurants and allow their stories to be present in as many places as possible. So it starts with great content creation, but it's also that marketing of the content and that storytelling and the relationship between the restaurant and these editors and bloggers and with their customers.
My guest now on the Jeff Crilley Show, Gina Lynn. She is the CEO and founder of CityDining.com, and you've brought treats and spoons.
I have. So, technically it is brunch. It's brunch time, right?
Of course.
I'm sure there's, Eater this week published a piece on what patios to check out this weekend. So I'm sure there's people on the patios having a mimosa or, another kind of cocktail. So I I love supporting local business and local entrepreneurs. And I had the opportunity to meet a wonderful gal named Misty. And she is the founder of Cakes with a Kick. And she has gifted us with her invention, cake shots. Have you heard of this before?
I have not heard of this, but
So
I think we have to test market it.
We must test. So Misty is she is using her grandmother's recipe to create these moist and delicious and wonderful cake creations. Actually,
that's amazing.
What you're tasting also is Jack Daniel's honey.
Oh, really?
So she pre-pours and infuses.
Am I allowed to drink on the air? I don't
you
know.
are.
I don't know if that's an FCC thing.
Technically, you have a tiny little spoon to facilitate this cakey, yummy frosting goodness. So pudding-like frosting, cake from scratch, scratch made, family recipe. With a few secrets that we can't share, but ultimately you have this wonderful cake creation. I actually shared them at a party last evening that we were at, and it was a huge hit. So Misty recently launched her Etsy page, so you can check her out at Cake with a Kick on Etsy or at Cake with a Kick. And if you want to reach out to me at CityDining Gina on Twitter or Instagram, hashtag Jeff Crilley Show, hashtag Cake with a Kick. I'll be happy to send you some of Misty's wonderful cake shots. And
these are amazing.
We'll have more to share, hopefully, with you soon again.
Oh, my God. You're the best guest ever. You're going to have to come back every week and bring food.
Absolutely, I will. I have more to share, more to talk about, some great clients we're working with.
Awesome. Well, tell us about some others that are featured right now on your website.
Sure. Well, we recently, one segment that I'm really proud of, we recently wrapped at The Rustic. So that restaurant group is just tremendous. The team there is cranking out some wonderful concepts. And one thing about The Rustic is I think there's always a misconception of, do you go in your cowboy boots? Are they, what's going on with the music? It's a multifaceted restaurant that has just done tremendously in the market. So we just dropped a segment kind of behind the scenes, checking out some not to miss dishes, specialty cocktails, enjoying the music there. But you can also check out some wonderful local restaurants as well. Victor Hugo with VH Oak Cliff, who recently opened his restaurant, who's just doing tremendously. Nikki with Asian Mint, who's just a wonderful friend, entrepreneur, talented chef, and restaurateur. As well as some others that we're so grateful to have had the opportunity to work with. We'll be actually so excited to be working on a project with Dallas Restaurant Group. This DFW Restaurant Week is coming up in August.
Oh, my goodness.
And so we're going to be dishing about some not to miss cocktails, shooting some how-tos for the dishes that will be served. So really looking forward to that. And possibly some work with Fireside Pies, who recently launched a brunch menu, and Pepper Smash at the Shops of Legacy, who just rolled out a new menu. So a lot of great projects, a lot of great not-to-miss dishes, restaurant experiences. We're just kind of getting started, and we're so excited. So through Gina Lynn Consulting and CityDining, we're very excited about the future.
Absolutely. And I want to compliment you because I was a TV storyteller for 25 years, and I think your videos are outstanding.
Thank you.
They do a great job. How do you know what to ask the chef to bring out their story?
Well, I think there's two sides of the coin. I've had the privilege of working in media and advertising for a long time. And so ultimately, I'm a marketer at heart, but I took literally my first steps pretty much in a restaurant. My parents owned restaurants for 15 years in the Northeast, and my love started there. And so I think having the unique opportunity of knowing and loving the industry, having such a respect for the people that run these restaurants and start with a dream and execute and open their doors every day, but ultimately knowing how to deliver that great storytelling and that great content to the end consumer, I think is kind of the unique package there. And so at the end of the day, video is very powerful. The delivery mechanism for that is booming. So actually, one video is worth 1.8 million words in text. And so we're just finding the power of video. And I think the distribution model for that is going to be key. So already tapping into some great foundational platforms and just telling that story.
And I know that at least one of the things Google has found is that more than 50% of the traffic is coming on the phone now. So
yes.
For a restaurant to have video on their website or have video inside their Yelp review or what have you, it becomes really important, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So video will ultimately not only help with engagement with a customer and telling your story, but it also will help with your social media presence as well as your online presence. One video on a homepage could increase your viewership on a Google search by over 63%. And so ultimately, there are affordable ways for restaurants to uniquely tell their story and then repurpose that content in multiple ways to drive traffic to their website. And you're even seeing digital publications. So the days of we're seeing a shift to digital storytelling. So ultimately, those digital storytellers are leveraging video as conversion tools to traffic to their site. So the way that these big guys are using these techniques, we apply that on a local or regional scale for these restaurant advertisers, but ultimately for the business traveler, we're a hub for business here in Dallas. The economy is booming. So as these business travelers are coming to town and the C-level executives are making their decisions in advance, you're able to take this piece of content and ultimately grow your exposure unlimitedly as opposed to just a local buy. I think it's a brilliant idea. I really do. Do you have plans to roll it out across the state and across the country? I think that naturally I have a desire for growth for this business model for sure. Ultimately, this is my home. I love Dallas. I love this market. It's such an exciting time for the restaurant industry here in the hospitality industry. So I want to perfect the model here and really tap into the needs of the consumer as well as the restaurateur. Make sure that this model is working and working well. And then, yes, I would love to grow. I think one of the amazing things about video is even a restaurant that you think you click on to Gina's site and you go through some of these videos and you're like, wow, I didn't know that about this restaurant. And I think with so many restaurants in Dallas-Fort Worth, you really have to continually tell your story, don't you? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't think those stories ever end. And so whether it be seasonal dishes, whether it be foundational menu items, whether it be just your inspiration for opening your restaurant, what's great is that these videos build and they live on and the stories live on. And I think that's tremendously important. So I'm looking forward to working with, I'm working with Kevin Marple, who is a tremendously talented food photographer who has shot for the likes of, Kent Rathbun and John Taysar. He's working with John on his cookbook. So I'm looking forward to working with other strategic partners. Hopefully you as well, Jeff. Absolutely. And your tremendous team and talent to really find great ways to distribute this content and tell great stories. So beyond the platform, really just focusing on the individual stories of the restaurant, working with tremendous creators on the video side, so my video partners to create tremendous content. I work hand in hand with the restaurants, and we look forward to it. Gina with CityDining.com, thank you so much, and thanks for being a guest of the Jeff Crilley Show. Pleasure. Thank you.